Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. It's a Saturday night, almost coming up on 9:30 Eastern Time on March 10th, 2018. Clocks go ahead at 2 a.m., which means that all the models will be coming out an hour later by all practical purposes. So instead of the European model, for example, starting at 1 a.m., which sometimes I will occasionally stay up for if we're in the short range, won't start till 2 a.m. And I can tell you that nothing is going to force me to stay up to see the European tonight, no matter what's going on. But we've got a lot of other models to look at. And, we started to see this westward trend develop yesterday, yet again, for I think the umpteenth time this winter. And, of course, after having two major nor'easters, and one producing an amazing wind and rain event, the second one producing an amazing snow event in 5 days, 5 days apart. Now we've got this third system that is going to be heading up for later Monday night into Tuesday. And as I said, models have been going increasingly bullish over this. Just a couple of late developments this evening. The SREF plumes, which are not always the best indicators in terms of their specifics, but they are interesting. They are showing a large portion of the area from New Jersey to southern New England in getting 6 to 8 inches of snow. I think the more important thing is the trend, and the trend is higher. The runs have been trending higher. This model comes out every 6 hours, and it comes out at now starting tomorrow. It will be at roughly a little bit before 4 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 10 p.m. So we see the SREF right before the new cycle NAM model, which is running right now. So by the time we're done with this video tonight, we will have seen the new NAM. And before we show you the new NAM, let me show you the old NAM model run. And if you think back to yesterday, we talked about the fact this sort of atmospheric puzzle with the upper air the way it is, with the block, with the system that was coming down in the northern stream, the system in the southern stream, and how models were handling all this. So the developments today indicate that the timing of these different short waves will be a bit different. And it's going to be very interesting to see if this is indeed going to be the case. Now, I'm going to just roll back the GFS. I want to go back one run on this, if it lets me. And it has. Okay. So this is from yesterday, how the upper air was looking. And you can see we've got this cutoff low sitting northwest of Nova Scotia, northwest cold flow coming into the eastern part of the United States. And back through Iowa and Nebraska, you can see that there's a shortwave trough here that is actually fairly well defined and drops southward. Now, you notice how these things start moving around. The upper low over Nova Scotia begins to move to the east, and you get a little bit of a ridge developing in between that and the troughing that's developing to the west. You've got this strong system dropping down toward Lake Superior and in the Great Lakes, and the question is, are we going to get that system to kind of pick up that southern stream system and lift it up to the northeast? Now, that's the huge question. On the last couple of runs of the GFS, it certainly tried to do that, but you can see it broadly lifts it up and around it as that cutoff drops southward. Now, that may or may not be the case. This would take a deepening low east-northeast far enough offshore that it would spare inland areas and probably graze coastal areas with some snow Monday night into Tuesday morning. But, of course, being that we have been just pretty much now living and dying on the NAM model, because the NAM model continues to outperform, I'll show you what its view is, and I'm going to also go back. I'm going to go back one run on this from later this afternoon. You can see the same puzzle pieces here. the low east of Nova Scotia. You could just begin to see the upper air low that's dropping into the western lakes, and a well-defined southern stream feature sitting here off into southeastern Missouri. And that is one of the big differences here of how well defined that southern stream system is. Now look at the NAM from late this afternoon. Look how that northern stream just basically catches that southern stream and just kicks it up so much closer to the coastline. This is Tuesday morning here, where we would be seeing a rather intense storm off the East Coast. You can see the strong upper air, the cutoff that drops down from over the Great Lakes just really strengthens here as it picks that system up along the coast and then rotates it up and around. This is going to be very critical as far as the development of this is concerned, and in terms of the positioning. And one of the things that the NAM model did late this afternoon was it really kind of went hog wild with the low center in terms of where it wanted to take it. And here it is from late this afternoon. Watch that low. It is offshore, but it is as far left as any run we've seen. And you'll notice that it has snow back to New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania, and heavier snow touching the New Jersey coast and over Long Island and into southeastern New England. And this is Tuesday morning here. This is a very important development. And I think the model trends are clear. The question is whether they continue or not. And given what's happened this winter with these systems, you have to think that that is going to be the case. This is by Tuesday afternoon. If this is correct on the old NAM model run, southeastern New England is getting hammered with heavy snow here from Boston, but particularly down in southeastern Mass and over in Nantucket and Cape Cod, getting absolutely hammered with big snows. And then the low kind of lifts northward toward the western part of Nova Scotia. It's really amazing that this would be the third storm in the last 10 days. Now, let me show you what the NAM did in terms of rainfall, liquid precipitation. Thanks, Jason. This is also rather impressive this early in the game, but that back edge of a half an inch of liquid to about New York City. But Long Island, most of central and eastern Connecticut getting into an inch to an inch and a half of liquid. And when we look over into southeastern Massachusetts, there are some 2-inch liquid amounts. I did not get to see I didn't really look at the ensemble, so let's take a look. This is actually, this isn't unimpressive. This is actually pretty decent for the ensembles on the GFS late this afternoon with that half inch back to New York City. Kind of matches up really well with the NAM. I'll bring up the surface plot to see. Let me see if that's the one. Yeah, that's ensemble member. We'll see how the ensembles handled all this. The closed isobar you see here is basically the mean position. You can see how the ensembles have a lot. The members are all pretty tightly clustered there east of the Virginia coast. It's a little bit a little bit offshore. Go back one run. I'm just going to look back at the 12Z. Yeah, the 12Z run on the GFS was north and west of the 18Z. The 18Z shifted a little bit to the south and east. But again, the NAM is really the one that we're going to pay attention to here. We got the new run coming out, so we are not probably far enough along yet. So let's take a look, see what we got so far. And it looks like it might have gone a little bit to the east on this run, but let's see. There's your low. It's a 981 low on the NAM. It's at 37, roughly at about 39 and 39. Do I have my arrow at the right spot? I probably don't. Yeah, 38 and 68, 68, a little bit past 68 and a half. The old run, just for comparison's sake, was southwest of there. So it's either it may just be faster in getting to this point where the NAM has it on the new run. This was the old run, and there's your new run. So this is by 9Z Tuesday. That's as far out as we have. So let's back up and see how this all gets underway. So there's your surface low, kind of straddling off the North Carolina coast. Then it jumps to the east and then goes northeast. It's a little bit. It is further out. So that is something that's an important development there. You know, there's no guarantee that the 18Z model run is right, and I think we're going to see these shifts a bit back and forth. This is what the snow map looks like. I think the precip map will probably work better than the snow map with this, but not a whole lot of precip showing up here through 9Z on Tuesday on the new run. You know, the heavier precip is out to the south, and I'll go back to the snow map. And there you can see there's a stripe of snow that the model is forecasting across Kentucky and into southern West Virginia, western North Carolina on the order of the purple areas. The model is showing that would be 6 inches plus on a 10-to-1 basis. Just want to see what it's got when we look at the positive snow growth, which, by the way, in the last case really didn't work very well. So let me just see if I can get this positive. Well, actually, it does. You know, it does produce some fairly decent amounts, even in the positive snow growth map. So I'll go back to the surface map here really fast. Maybe we can see what the problem is with regards to what the model is doing. Let me just roll it back up. You know, we still only have out to 57 hours. We'll come a little closer. There's your surface low here, so you can see how far out it is. It did not come back left, further left from the 18Z run. But you know what? Long way to go here. On Tuesday, we had the mid-cycle runs pull back a bit when we were trying to figure out whether it was going to track to the, you know, more to the west, or if it was going to start shooting out to the east. And that particular run led us down the wrong path. So, you know, my view on all this is that, you know, game is certainly still on in terms of a potential for a sizable snowfall from coastal. You know, my thing with this is that I'm thinking this time around, if it's going to happen, it's going to be an impact for the coastal areas of New Jersey to Long Island, southern New England, and certain southeastern New England, and less of an impact as you go to the north and west. We have anything more beyond 57 hours? Not yet. Okay, so you know what? We can go back. I'll bring up the wide view, and we'll look at the upper air to see what's happening. And there you have it. Now, it looks like on this run, unlike the last one, you can see that the short waves coming down, that northern stream is trying to phase in with the south, and then it just kind of, I don't know, the southern stream system seems to get squashed a little, a bit. The January 4th storm, we were dealing with the same type of scenario and the same type of problem. One system coming up in the southern stream and the northern jet coming down and basically overwhelming, looking like it was trying to phase, but never could quite get there. And at the last minute, it pulled the southern stream system in northwestward, just close enough to the coast where the coastal areas wound up with a big snowfall. So it's not really that different from what happened back in early January. This is now, again, I only have out into Tuesday morning. So I'm going to just come back to you guys, and we'll talk about what's going on. I'm a little extra tired tonight for some reason. I guess because it was a Saturday. I really tried to take a break today. I'm in all seriousness, with everything that's gone on with these last two storms in the Northeast, the last thing we need is another big snowfall. So you know, I'm looking at what's going on. You know, I really don't really hope that it doesn't happen because there's still a lot of folks that are without power and having a really difficult time with all this. Gary Kingsblank and Ellen Abraham, thanks again for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it very much. Shelly Man Studios doesn't want any more snow, and you know what? I kind of don't want any more snow either. And Matthew Goldman wants the Mid-Atlantic to get this one. Don't blame you. A lot of folks down in some of the Mid-Atlantic states have been very disappointed by a number of the storms this year. And Big L, yeah, this the snowfall we just had, it was like lifting. It was like shoveling concrete. It was just so darn heavy and so wet. Just trying to get to all your all your points and your observations. Dark Master thinks that the last storm in the sequence will be the biggest one and will go out with a bang. Well, we'll see. We certainly have the ingredients here for something sizable to happen. But do those ingredients all come together? That remains to be seen. And the earlier model times, the weather people gain an extra hour of sleep. That's so true, Jason. I appreciate it, Ellen. Thank you. It's been a very tough week with the 2 back-to-back storms, and you just get mentally fried with all this stuff. Kyle, I wouldn't say that the NAM is bad, quote unquote. It is, obviously it is, it is going to change a bit more between now and Monday night. So I'm not surprised. I don't really get too surprised by what models do anymore from run to run, because they do adjust and they do change. Let's just wait. Plenty of there's still a lot of time for models to go in either direction. Again, for me, I really hope it doesn't happen. We've just been through too much here in the last 10 days. Joshua Pan wants that load. You want the primary to go to West Virginia. That doesn't look like it's going to happen, although there were some model sequences earlier this week where it did try to do that, but I don't think it's going to happen. NAM is east of the last run, Anthony Orr. Tepi 9076, thank you very much for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for the kind words. Anthony has been noted that sometimes the 18Z and the 6Z don't have as much data. You did mention to me, and NOAA is going to be sending out a plane and gathering extra data. I don't know starting when, because when they do begin doing that, it does get incorporated into the 18Z and the 6Z runs, so that those runs will have some fresh data in them, and they might be a bit more reliable. I don't necessarily think that the in-between runs, by the way, are not reliable, because the data is still based on the prior run. They do offer maybe sometimes alternatives, but I find sometimes that those off-hour runs occasionally do catch trends as they develop, and I think they are important to look at. And the fact of the matter is that weather people, as weather people, we may say that we're not going to look at them, but we look at them, and they wind up finding their way into our line of thinking. Let's see. I feel like the forecasts aren't going to be reliable until hours before the potential event strikes. Well, we've had to basically fine-tune all these forecasts lately, Seth, right up until the last minute. Chris Alley, good to see you here. A little bit on the tired side tonight, Chris. I think when I wrap up this video, I may just go to bed early. I think we can go back and take a look. Let me go back to the NAM again. And it should be out. It will be out a little bit further here. So let's bring the map up. What a way to finish the winter, by the way, with what went on in Europe last week with the blizzards in Ireland and in England, and now we have the 2 back-to-back Noreasters, and watching to see if we're going to have a third. And all right, so this is at 5 a.m. Tuesday morning. So there's 8 a.m. Still snowing, by the way, over New Jersey and Long Island. right into to about mid-morning, and then it pulls away to the northeast. You know, in spite of the fact that the model is to the east, it probably does do fairly well in terms of total accumulated precip. So we'll look at that. And I think that this is probably going to be a better way for us to judge. And this is a big change from the prior run, notice, by the way. This is 3Z Wednesday, so it's all over with. So now the areas, except for eastern Long Island, getting less than a half an inch. The big amounts are going to be in southeastern New England. So that eastward shift does take its toll on the total precip amounts over the areas around New Jersey, Long Island, southeastern New York, and Connecticut. Again, this is just this run. We'll have to come back to the next one. We're going to be and the next one, and the next one after that, and the next one after that, right into Monday. Why don't we see what the upper air looks like? Again, there's that southern stream feature. I'm just running it backwards to Sunday afternoon. The southern stream kind of swings around. Here comes the north that tries to dive in. Looks like it's going to phase, and then it just sort of squashes and suppresses it as it kicks it out to the east. That is a possibility that it could happen that way. The January storm, as I remember going into it, we had model runs that did the same thing, where it wound up squashing and suppressing. And in reality, it wound up being lifted up and pulled in closer to the upper trough in the northern part of the jet stream. All right, folks. So you know what? Yes, and Andrew, it's a good. I'm trying to get M. Lodinia. The 3 kilometer NAM today was really off the wall. I mean, it just kind of went nuts. It really tucked in the surface low in a big way. And I don't know how much of the new 3 kilometer we have, but I'll show you the old one, because that was actually kind of scary what it did. Let me just bring that back. NAM 3. There we go. So this is this looks like the new NAM 3, which also has it. I can just tell you from that first frame, it has more of a tucked in low. But if we go back one run, look where it wound up here with this surface low. This just wrapped up. It won't let me go back. Come on, go back a run. There we go. This is the old 57 from 18Z, and you can see where the NAM 3 with its surface low, and this huge area of heavy precip into. Is that as far out as it goes? Why is it stopped here? This is really weird. Let me try something else. I'm sorry. I'm just bear with me here, folks, because it doesn't seem like it should go out a little bit further than this. All right, so there it is. So this was the NAM 3 kilometer run. This is as of 2 a.m. Tuesday. Look where it had the surface low. I mean, way west, much closer to the coast, near 39 and about 72.5, and big snows from southeastern New Hampshire all the way down through New Jersey into Maryland, Delaware, and eastern Virginia. I mean, this would have been this was quite the powerhouse that it was showing here on this old run. The snowfall, in fact, was actually higher as you went further inland. It hadn't quite yet gotten to the point. The bigger snows for Long Island and points east would probably come after midnight on Monday night. But it produced a large area of heavy snow across New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. Now the new NAM 3, we'll go to the new NAM 3. And I'm waiting. Hello. Oh, boy. Okay, so the new NAM 3 is probably not going to be out far enough. And it's not. So let's, I'll bring the precip back up. So here's the NAM 3 kilometer is out. This is only to midnight. And at midnight, it's showing snow up in through southern New England and back through to Long Island. You can see it here. I guarantee you there's no 500 that we can see with this. But the NAM 3-kilometer run probably has more of that northern trough lifting this system up and keeping it closer to the coast and keeping it much rather than squashing it like the 12-kilometer NAM did. So I'm just going to bring myself back up to the front here and just get one or two of your comments again before we call it a night, because I am beginning to really fade away. All right, so let's see. Early snowfall map, low confidence on this storm according to North NWS. If it shifts west, more snow, east, less snow. Correct. That's exactly correct, Deodan Kumar. This is an early calls are. I think the early call I did, I went a little more aggressive than the Weather Service did, if only because of the fact that the last two cases, these storms have really outperformed what the models were showing, and the models were aggressive with them, but they still wound up outperforming. So I decided to just go ahead and lean a little aggressive, even though I didn't really go particularly off the wall. I can attempt. Let me see if I can pull that map up for you, in case you're not seeing it on my website. I'll bring it up here. This will just take a second. We'll have to just load up. Boy, I have to tell you, I guess I'm at the point right now today where I'm just really wiped. All right, hang in there, folks. I'll bring it here. I'll have it up there in 1 second. And it's... Okay. I have to maneuver here on the keyboard and create a new frame so that you guys can see this, and it'll be up there momentarily. And here's my snowfall map. This is what I did. Yeah, so I basically went for the back edge of a coating to an inch or two into eastern Pennsylvania. The blue line would be the back edge of 2 to 4. So the light blue line, the darker blue line, the back edge of 4, and then I put in a purple line for 6 and an orange line for 8. So I went aggressive going to the east. And notice I have a track error of, let's say, about 60 miles. So if we have a storm that is going to be 60 miles further east, you can pull these lines at least 60 miles further east. So maybe the black line will be where the blue line is, and the blue line will be where the darker blue line is, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. And if it winds up that it does track further west and get tucked in, we could probably take that 8-inch line and pull it back westward. I think this was a fair early call. I know I did lean aggressive this time around because of the fact that in the last two events, the storms wound up outperforming, particularly on the snow side. So I'm just going with the idea of the trend being my friend. It may not necessarily prove to be the case, but that's the way I'm going to go with it at this point. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a night tonight. I'm fading away. When I start babbling like this and I can't complete sentences, my brain is telling me, Joe, you need to go to bed. And Seafarer, yes, the pattern may break down to some degree. Whether it completely breaks down or not remains to be seen. Okay, leaving it here at this point, folks. Have a great evening. I hope you're having a good weekend. Don't forget, clocks go ahead 1 hour at 2 Eastern time. Will suddenly become 3, and everybody will feel a little off tomorrow because you'll be an hour late for everything. All right, have a good evening, folks. See you on Sunday.